Hi, my name is Joanna Whitney. I am an intuitive artist and a student of natural law, and just was inspired to do a quick video about nonviolent communication. And another thing I do, which I'm going to call sovereign communication, which I think that after people understand and start using nonviolent communication, sovereign communication is like the black belt. I don't know what the tiers of belts are, but I'd say nonviolent communication would be a prerequisite to become a black belt in communication. And I personally use what I will call sovereign communication. So in nonviolent communication, I'm not 100% on this yet. We've just started doing it at our in-person group. Which if you're interested in that, you can just DM me here on YouTube. But what we've started doing is just the very basics of nonviolent communication, where someone may express their thing, whatever's bothering them, and then we reflect back to them what we heard them say, and we intuitively add in things that were maybe the subtext of what we heard them say, because apparently people don't really understand or know how to express themselves anymore, where it doesn't include so-and-so made me feel, or I was triggered. You triggered me. That was one I heard recently, which I didn't know what to do with for a long time. So once we get through learning what feelings actually are, I feel disappointed, I feel mad, I feel sad, I feel afraid, I feel angry. And like those are the four core feelings, and then all the other feelings. Like disappointment is probably a combination of anger and sadness. Um, um, then there's, all the fragmentations of the millions of other feelings. Once we get through doing that and people start to understand, then we can move into sovereign communication. Sovereign communication is where I get angry or upset with some situation or person, and then I become self-reflective and I ask myself a few questions. And I often do this with another person who knows how to do this. I ask myself, what do I want in the situation? Where am I being selfish in the situation? Where am I being dishonest in the situation? For example, how am I being dishonest? I'm either lying by omission, that means omitting the truth, or coercing someone, or I'm lying by commission, which is committing an actual untruth, or I'm lying because I'm playing God, meaning that I think I know how the situation's supposed to go or how someone is supposed to act. That's where, this kind of communication is going to take a big leap, because a lot of people on this planet today do actually believe that they know how other people are supposed to act or what is supposed to happen. And it will require great amounts of self-reflection to understand that what other people do is none of my business. What other people think of me is none of my business. What is my business actually? And what is other people's business? So these kinds of things are going to have to be sorted out by people individually. But bottom line, in my world, the way that I stay sane is that God decides what other people do. And I can see what other people are going to do by their actions. Like if I see someone acting one way on social media and another way in person, and they never integrate, I can pretty much guarantee that there's something fucked up with that person. And so if I try to become close with them and then I get my hand bitten, well, I just didn't apply what I saw to the person, and then I put myself in harm's way by trying to get close to that person. Or if I see someone irrationally lash out at someone else, or try to mind their business, or give someone preferential treatment over another person, even though the newcomer hasn't been around for a while. I'm just, pulling situations out of my memory. If I see that in a person, like, I need to use my discernment then about the person and say, well, is this person really going to be able to be a real friend to me? Um, and I can try to give them the benefit of the doubt, but then when I get my hand bitten off, I can pretty much go back and say, well, I did see all these things. And was it because I was so lonely that I let this person into the inner circle? That's another question I have to ask myself. Like, with regards to being selfish, like, am I so lonely that I just let whoever into my space, and then I get upset when they behave, the way that they behave? Um, if I'm lonely, I have to look at that. I have to look at what is going on with me that I'm lonely. Um, is it like a spiritual hole that needs to be filled with some kind of spiritual activity? Because I don't personally want to be dependent on humans to fill that spiritual hole, because if I am, I'm going to be constantly putting myself in a position to be harmed by people's actions. I want to have a relationship with source that fills me up, so that I'm not seeking a human solution to feel filled up. And whatever work I have to do to find those blocks, remove those blocks, so that the spirit can fill up those nooks and crannies in my spiritual auric field, so that I'm not out there seeking companionship just to have validation or whatever is going on. So that would, inform the answer to my question: where am I being selfish? What do I want from the situation? Am I trying to get validation from another person, or am I trying to just have a human being be with me in life, so that to fill that spiritual void in myself? That would be, often when I want people to behave the way I want them to behave, it's because I want extensions of my hands. I don't want an actual person who they actually are, an individual being that has their own connection and their own path. I want an extension of my hands, and that's extremely selfish and dishonest. So that could make me angry, or upset or whatever, disappointed. So the next question I would ask myself is, what am I doing to try to manipulate the situation so that I get my way? I could have done nothing externally, but I could just be annoyed or peeved or irked or feeling weird or whatever, because I want people to act a certain way. And then the manipulative act may come next after the thought. If I'm not adept at looking at this stuff and catching myself, I will actually act the whole thing out. And then I'll probably cause harm that I'll need to repair. So the last question I asked myself is, where am I afraid? What am I afraid? Am I afraid of something? Am I afraid of losing something that I have, or am I afraid of not getting something I want? Once again, I have to look at these things, and I have to look at what I'm trying to get from people. Is it something unrealistic that humans can't give me and that I need to solve in a spiritual way with myself? Or am I afraid of losing something that I have, that I perceive that I have, that I don't actually have? Or is it something that I actually have that I am afraid of losing? Once I've looked at these 4 things, usually I go through this with someone on the phone or in person. It's like hard to do by yourself and be honest initially. Then what I do is I ask God to remove it, and then I try to find someone I can help. You know, service to others is the ultimate redeemer. Getting out of myself and my little designs for other people and my little design for the world as I see it, as Joanna, the Godhead, sees things how they should be. If I can get out of that by helping others, either actually helping someone that's right in front of me, you know, and when I say that, when I say helping someone, what I mean by that is that I'm directly responsible to that person, not for them. So I'm going to try to help them the way they want to be helped, not the way that I want to help them. Because again, that would be selfish and self-seeking. So like I'm going to give you an example of helping someone. And I actually, you know, had a conversation with someone about this recently, and they had a different point of view on it, but I'm just giving you my point of view and how I do things. If I'm going to help a little old lady cross the street, which I'm almost a little old lady myself at this point, but if I'm going to help a little old lady cross the street and she doesn't want to cross the street all the way, but wants to hang out in the median, then I'm not going to drag her across the street if I'm being directly responsible to her. If she wants to hang out in the median, even though it's unsafe in my opinion, then if I'm really there to help her, I'm going to hang out in the median with her because that's what she wants help with. If I try to drag her across the street, then I'm being selfish because I'm being responsible for her. And that is the difference between a tyranny and freedom. She has the freedom to choose whether she wants to hang out in the median or whether she wants to cross the street or not. Of course, if I feel, you know, if I feel like it's too dangerous for me to hang out in the median, then of course I can just leave her in the median, right? I do have to put the oxygen mask over my nose and mouth first before I can help my child. This is another analogy, like in terms of helping others and being directly responsible to them rather than for them, I do have to take care of myself first, my physical needs. And, you know, I think when these axioms were written, I think people had more common sense than they do today, and they had more understanding of the world because we were in nature more instead of living in this unreal world that we live in. So when the stewardess tells you that you have to put the oxygen mask over your nose and mouth before you do so for your child, it's because if you help your child first, then you're going to lose oxygen and pass out, and then the kid's not going to be able to hold the oxygen mask themselves. I have to take care of myself, my physical needs first, and then I can be unselfishly helpful to others. So back to the little old lady, if there's only room in the median for one person, her, then I might just leave her there to fend for herself. I've taken her from the curb to the median and she wants to hang out in the median and I'm being directly responsible to her, then I'm out of there. But me trying to drag her all the way across the street is not being helpful. That's me being selfish because I think I know what's best for her. And, you know, none of us gets out of here alive. So if somebody has an intuitive feeling that they need to be in a dangerous situation, then it's not up to me to make those decisions for them as long as they're an adult. As a kid, of course, you know, children up to the age of 18 still can't make their own decisions. even though the government may say they can change their gender or whatever bunch of horse crap is being perpetrated out there is truth. Children are still in brain development up till age 18. So we get to decide, the parents get to decide for them what is safe and what isn't. But back to the sovereign communication thing. So I review these 4 things with another person. I see where I am violating one or all 4 of the 4 things. Then I ask God or source or Mother Nature or whatever it is to remove the big pile of crap. And then I look for someone I can help. And either it's someone I can help physically in my presence, or I could pray for somebody. Like I could think about some person I recently saw flying a sign and I could say a prayer for that person. It's always better to actually physically help someone because that really helps me get out of self. And then if I've caused harm to the person by violating them in some way, the person that I was having the problem with, that I had to do this sovereign communication review over, then I would be able to, using I statements. At this point, having done this whole filter, I would be able to say, well, I interfered with you, or I tried to control you, or I was dishonest and I tried to coerce you to get you to do what I wanted. Or now okay, I gossiped to you about someone else. That could be something I would need to say was a harm. Or I could, like, if I tried to, let's say, I have to be careful because let's say the harm that I saw that I caused was that I thought I knew better for that person and I tried to tell them what to do, like gave them unsolicited advice. That's another harm that I'm seeing, a lot of conversations these days is just handing back and forth unsolicited advice about what people should be doing. But I have to be careful when I apologize for the unsolicited advice, not to give more unsolicited advice. I have to really have separated myself from what's right and wrong for that person, which is none of my business unless they have asked me for my opinion. But when someone asks me for my opinion, this is what one of my spiritual advisors once said to me, which I think was very good. If somebody really asks me for my opinion, what I should do is say, do you really want my opinion? And like 9 times out of 10, the person will change the subject. Most people really don't want my opinion. And as much as I love to give my opinion because it makes me feel, like super chick, stronger, bigger, faster, like I can leap tall buildings with a single bound. That's my ego. People really don't want my opinion usually. So the suggestion was ask them if they really want your opinion, and if they don't, change the subject and say, yes, I really want your opinion. Then I can give my opinion, but then I should stop at that point. Like I shouldn't get on a soapbox and just pound my opinion home. I could just give it and then step down, back off, be quiet, listen. I think most people really just want to be heard. And I would hope that my goal would be to want to help other people become sovereign. Not help other people by telling them what my intuition tells them to do, but help them to become sovereign so that they can listen to their own intuition. So yeah, this is the difference between nonviolent communication and sovereign communication. Sovereign communication does require that you, or that one, learn how to be self-reflective and learn how to take responsibility and have an inner monarchy ruled by, and for me, it's ruled by my higher self, not my little self, but my higher self, which I choose to call God, the source, the creator of the universe through natural law. I don't. I try not to do that myself because I'm just a human and I have human egoic desires. So, but the more I practice this, the better and better I get at remaining integrated under natural law principles, no matter what's going on, which is what I want. Personally, I want to not have to depend on anything or anyone for anything or at all. Because if I have a fear that my supply is going to go away, then I'm going to go into dishonesty, coercion, trying to save my ass and my face at the same time to make sure that I have a continuous supply of whatever it is. I don't want that, especially in these times where things are so uncertain. Okay, have a great day. Talk to you next time.